Ask Reddit. Lonely people of Reddit, how do you handle the loneliness? You learn to thrive on it. If you're lonely, that means you can do whatever you want whenever you want. So just pick something that interests you and dive into it. Edit. Holy shit, woke up to my first gold. Thanks. This is the proper solution. Don't dwell into loneliness. You sit in your advantage. One day you won't be lonely and will regret not utilizing your free time. No matter how ugly/dumb you are, social skills are something that can be worked on even when have no one to talk to right now. I moved overseas to be an au pair several years ago, and for the first 4 months I was so lonely I thought I'd go insane. I used to listen to the same podcasts every day to the point where I felt like I was chatting with my friends. I slept with headphones on, listening to the same shows over and over, just so I could hear another voice in the room. It was such a bleak time, but it didn't last. I eventually made friends at the language classes I went to every day, and I started talking to a friend from home on Skype regularly, and she was someone I had long fallen out of contact with before I went away. So life will surprise you like that. You can compensate for your lack of companionship by talking to the people you see around you as you go about your day. Chat with the person serving you at a cafe or when you're buying groceries. Stop and talk to the old lady on the street that you normally walk past. You might be the only person she talks to all day. It doesn't matter much what you say, just engaging with people will help you feel less invisible. This loneliness won't last forever. People come in and out of our lives. It's part of the ebb and flow of life. This is a lonely time, but there will be times when you're busy and you'll meet new and interesting people easily. Just take each day at a time, remembering that if one day is bad, the next day does not have to be the same way. This won't last. This is not the rest of your life. I used to be lonely, but once I learned to forgive and love myself and who I'm as an individual, and I decided to every paycheck go out and get something for my place that I thought was really beautiful, really up my alley, and was relaxing, and all gave off a cozy atmosphere. After a while I ended up not only happy with who and where I was in life, but I had an apartment that was a joy to come home and walk into. It made being there alone much better. I didn't dread going home alone anymore. I was excited to go home and lay on my beautiful comfy couch and light my wonderfully scented new candles. Shit like that. Then a boyfriend popped up when I least suspected it. Probably because I'd quit looking for it and gained some confidence. I'm struggling with this a lot since I moved last year. Took me a while to realize it cause I normally love having time to myself, but there's a difference between not knowing anyone and choosing to hang with people on your own time. I've been trying to make myself go out and interact with people, board game night at a local bar, and just trying to organize hangouts with friends of friends and acquaintances and such. The people that have that potential to become friends at some point. It's a slow process though. When you're at home and really hurting, I just like playing podcasts and music. Background noise can be comforting. I feel you on this. It's something I've never really thought about until I realized I was in the middle of it recently and completely at a loss as to how to take care of myself. Making friends becomes a lot like dating. The older you get, you know what you want and become way more selective. Having had a large group of friends in my earlier years to having a smaller group now, I found it quite depressing at first. Then I realized that I had changed and my definition of a friend changed as well. Even though my group of friends is small, they are reliable and caring. It took a lot of effort for me to get there. For me, one reliable friend is worth more than 5 acquaintances. Invest effort into one and build from there. Side note, I'm horrible at texting/calling people back. It was absolutely exhausting to make new friends in a new city. I think about killing myself so I don't have to be alive anymore. Then cry myself to sleep at how I don't matter to anyone. I have no friends and my family relationships is practically non-existent. We're all more like strangers who tolerate each other's presence than a family. Anyways, problem solved. When I wake up, I'll be too groggy to remember anything I was thinking about from before. Rinse and repeat until I find something else to occupy myself with, or maybe think about killing myself again. That's always a good one. I think about killing myself too. But then think about everyone who would be sad if I died at that very moment. What would be said by who and why? It makes you realize that, even if it doesn't seem like it, people do care. Just remember, people do care. And if no one else does, I do. I care. It sucks. You see so many people around just being in happy relationships and whatnot. Meanwhile I feel like a total loser. I don't remember the last time I've hugged someone who's not family. It's gotten to the point where even seeing an attractive woman or a couple walking by can sometimes make me feel bad. My parents were joking about me becoming a priest since I haven't brought a girl home yet. That ruined Thanksgiving dinner. I suppose I only have myself to blame though, so I've been trying to lose weight and improve myself somewhat, but it's a slow and steady process. For now, I suppose I deal with it by distracting myself with hobbies and whatnot, keep my mind off it, you know? Though, the occasional cry to sleep or sad drinking session is in order. Honestly, I feel like a hug from someone would go a long way to cheer me up, but until then I'm just kinda stuck. I hang out with myself. I go to events alone. I go on little adventures around the city alone. I try to try a new restaurant once or twice a month and get dressed up for the occasion. I'm only 19 years old, so it kind of bums me out that I don't have friends, but I'm starting to really like being alone. I think part of being okay with being alone is enjoying your own company. This is the best reply here. I was lonely for many years. I traveled and entertained myself. When funds were low, I tried to just get out and do something free. Once I made more money, I traveled solo and learned a lot about myself. Just know that it doesn't last. Eventually, I turned myself into a knowledgeable, well-traveled, and interesting person. That led to a growing group of friends, one of whom introduced me to my wife. Now I'm happily married, and we travel together. Keep improving yourself, and good things will happen. The trick is to be comfortable with being alone, even during activities. Once this happens, everything else follows. Confidence is key. I simply live with the loneliness. This topic occasionally comes up Reddit, and honestly, I'm baffled by it. I have had co-workers complain about the ups and seemingly more often downs in their relationships. Most recently, a guy I'm occasionally partnered with during a day shift had expressed that he was hoping for a singular sexual encounter on an upcoming birthday. Within the scope of this very long and sometimes uncomfortable guided tour of one man's personal sex desert, he had exclaimed that it must suck for me to be alone. Personally, being alone in a committed relationship is far more bruising than anything I've ever experienced while in the company of myself. I'm lonely. I spend a lot of time in my house, which is too big. It was great when I was married, but single, I just rattle around in here like a marble in a tin can. I talk to my cat a lot. I have some friends, so I see them, but it's half-hearted. Tonight, however, I asked a lady out to dinner, and she accepted. I'm excited about that. I don't. I try my best to distract myself by diving into super complex or involved movies, books, TV shows, video games, etc. to take my mind off of it. When I want somebody to talk to, I go on Reddit. You can usually find somebody wanting to talk. I just try to keep myself distracted. Scrolling through Reddit, watching YouTube, playing games. Whatever it takes to keep my mind occupied. Also, I've learned to use avoidance in my thoughts. Probably unhealthy, but if I push myself not to think about things, it makes life a lot easier. It's like seeing you're about to hit a brick wall of misery and suddenly swerving the car completely off the road. The fact is, unless you are 100% asocial, there is no handling the loneliness. Sure, you can distract yourself with gaming, drugs/alcohol, exercise, hobbies, etc. At the end of the day, meaningful social contacts are a requirement for healthy life. Being alone for long periods of time is the cancer of psyche and will slowly destroy mental and physical health. Being alone for too long leaves you unable to form meaningful connections with other people, because that is a skill that needs to be learned and maintained, a skill that can be lost. Lack of real social connection is the fuel for lack of motivation to better and take care of oneself. It's the fuel for severe depression and suicidal ideation. Existence seems futile if there's nobody to share it with. I've been struggling to get out of this hole for 8 years, with no luck. Sure, sometimes socializing is easier, and I feel like I'm making progress and getting better at it. Then something happens, and I fall back to the pit until I can gather enough strength and courage to start climbing back up. It's frustrating, It's painful and on some days, I just want to give up. But I will not give up. Just out of spite, I will not fucking give up. So to anyone who is lonely, it gets better if you make it better. To anyone who is completely isolated, disconnected and hopeless, get help, get therapy. Start taking drastic measures to get yourself out of that hole. It will be hard, painful and discouraging. But you have to do it, or isolation will be the end of you. Do not underestimate the importance of social connection to your health and well-being.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to be entered into our iMac giveaway.
Yeah.